What's up? Welcome to another episode. And today in this episode,
the text being narrated in this presentation by James Allen was written in the style of its time, that is to say, in somewhat archaic English, and written by men for men. But, as Allen has himself asserted, the teachings are meant for mankind, not just for men. The material is utterly profound and life-changing, so we have taken the liberty of adapting and updating the English to make it more neutral and accessible to modern generations, male and female alike, without changing the meaning or the intention of the text, and without making any copyright claims regarding our versions of his sublime works. The original versions can be found freely available online in the public domain for those who might prefer to read them in their original form. Thank you. The Heavenly Life by James Allen. Chapter 1. The Divine Center. The secret of life, of abundant life, with its strength, its happiness, and its unbroken peace, is to find the divine center within ourselves, and to live in and from that, instead of in that outer circumference of worldly disturbances, the agitation, cravings, and disputes which make up the animal and intellectual human being. These selfish elements make up the mere husks of life, and must be thrown away by those who would penetrate to the central heart of things, to life itself. Not to know that within you that is changeless and defiant of time and death is not to know anything, but is to play uselessly in the unreal reflections in the mirror of time. Not to find within you those profoundly stable principles which are not moved by the struggles and appearances and conceits of the world, is to find nothing but illusions which vanish as soon as they're grasped. You who resolve that you will not rest satisfied with appearances, shadows, and illusions, will, by the piercing light of that resolve, scatter every fleeting delusion, and will enter into the substance and reality of life. You will learn how to live, and you will live. You'll be the slave of no emotionality, the servant of no opinion, the believer of no fond error. Finding the divine center within your own heart, you will be pure and calm and strong and wise, and will continually radiate the heavenly life in which you live, which is yourself. Having taken yourself to the divine refuge within and remaining there, you are free from sin or ignorance. All of your yesterdays are as the tide-washed and untrodden sands. No ignorance will rise up against you to torment and accuse you and destroy your sacred peace. The fires of remorse can't scorch you, nor can the storms of regret devastate your dwelling place. Your tomorrows are like seeds which will germinate, bursting into beauty and potency of life. And no doubt will shake your trust. No uncertainty will steal your peace. The present is yours. You only live in the immortal present, and it's as the eternal vault of blue above, which looks down silently and calmly, yet radiant with purity and light, upon the upturned and tear-stained faces of the centuries. People love their desires, because gratification seems sweet to them, but its end is pain and emptiness. They love the argumentations of the intellect, because egotism seems most desirable to them, but their fruits are humiliation and sorrow. When the soul has reached the end of gratification and reaped the bitter fruits of egotism, it's ready to receive the divine wisdom and to enter into the divine life. Only the crucified can be transfigured. Only by the death of self can the Lord of the heart rise again into the immortal life and stand radiant upon the foundation of wisdom. You have your trials. Every outward trial is the replica of an inward imperfection. You'll grow wise by knowing this, and will thereby transform trial into active joy, finding the kingdom where trial cannot come. When will you learn your lessons, O child of earth? All of your sorrows cry out against you. Every pain is your just accuser. You are the proximate cause of your own injury, and your griefs are but the shadows of your unworthy and perishable self. The kingdom of heaven is yours. How long will you reject it, preferring the savage atmosphere of hell, the hell of your self-seeking self? Where self isn't, there is the garden of the heavenly life, and there spring the healing streams, quenching all thirst. There bloom the immortal flowers, carpeting all the way with joy. There are the swiftest and sweetest hours. The redeemed children of God, the glorified in body and spirit, are bought with a price, and that price is the crucifixion of the personality, the death of self. And having put away that within which is the source of all discord, they have found the universal music, the abiding joy. Life is more than motion, it's music. More than rest, it is peace. More than work, it is duty. More than labor, it is love. More than enjoyment, it is blessedness. More than acquiring money and position and reputation, it is knowledge, purpose, and strong and high resolve. Let the impure turn to purity, and they'll be pure. Let the weak resort to strength, and they'll be strong. Let the ignorant fly to knowledge, and they'll be wise. All things are available to you, and you choose whatever you will have. Today, you choose in ignorance. Tomorrow, you'll choose in wisdom. You will work out your own salvation, whether you believe it or not, because you can't escape yourself, nor can you transfer the eternal responsibility of your own soul to anyone else. By no theological deception will you trick the law of your being, which will shatter all your selfish improvisations and excuses for right thinking and right doing. Nor will God do for you what your soul has destined to accomplish for itself. What would you say of someone who, wanting to own a mansion to live in peacefully, bought the land and then knelt down and asked God to build a house for them? Wouldn't you say that such a person was foolish? And of another who, having bought the land, set the architects and builders and carpenters at work to erect the building, wouldn't you say that person was wise? And as it is with the building of a material house, it's the same in the building of a spiritual mansion. Brick by brick, pure thought upon pure thought, good deed upon good deed, the building of a blameless life must rise from its sure foundation until, at last, it stands out in all the majesty of its faultless proportions. Not by whim or gift or favor do you acquire the spiritual realities, but by diligence, watchfulness, energy, and effort. Your spiritual heart is the heart of the universe, and, finding that heart, you will find the strength to accomplish all things. You'll also find there the wisdom to see things as they are. You will find divine peace there. At the center of your being is the music which orders the stars, the eternal harmony. Those of you who want to find blessedness, find yourselves. Abandon every discordant desire, every inharmonious thought, every degenerating habit and deed, and you will find that grace and beauty and harmony which form the indestructible essence of your own being. We fly from philosophy to philosophy and find unrest. We travel in many lands and discover disappointment. We build ourselves beautiful mansions and plant pleasant gardens and reap tedium and discomfort. Not until you fall back on the truth within yourself will you find rest and satisfaction. Not until you build the inward mansion of faultless conduct will you find the endless and incorruptible joy. And, having obtained that, you will infuse it into all of your outward conduct and possessions. If you want to have peace, exercise the spirit of peace. If you want to find love, live in the spirit of love. If you want to escape suffering, stop inflicting it. If you want to do honorable things for humanity, Stop doing dishonorable things for yourself. If you will only dig deep into the mine of your own soul, you will find all the materials there for building whatever you will. And you will also find there the central rock on which you can build in safety. Whatever you do to try and right the world, it will never be righted until you have put yourself right. This may be written on the heart as a mathematical axiom. It's not enough to preach purity. We must give up all of our lusts. To exhort love, we must abandon hatred. To extol self-sacrifice, we must surrender ourself. To adorn with mere words the perfect life, we must be perfect. When you can no longer carry the weight of your many sins and ignorance, fly to the Christ, whose throne is in the center of your own heart, and you will become light-hearted, entering the glad company of the immortals. When you can no longer bear the burden of your accumulated learning, leave your books, your science, your philosophy, and come back to yourself, and you will find within what you've been looking for out there and not found, your own divinity. Those who stop arguing about God have found God within, relying upon that calm strength which isn't the strength of self. They live God, manifesting in their daily lives the highest goodness, which is eternal life. Chapter 2, the eternal now. Now is the reality in which time is contained. It's more and greater than time. It's an ever-present reality. It knows neither past nor future, and is eternally powerful and real. Every minute, every day, every year is a dream as soon as it's past, and exists only as a vague and unsubstantial picture in the memory, if it isn't entirely faded. Past and future are dreams. Now is a reality. All things are now. All power, all possibility, all action is now. Not to act and accomplish now is not to act and accomplish at all. To live in thoughts of what you might have done, or in dreams of what you mean to do, this is foolishness. But to put away regret, to anchor anticipation, and to do and to work now, this is wisdom. While you are dwelling upon the past or future, you're missing the present. You're forgetting to live now. All things are possible now and only now. Without wisdom to guide you, and mistaking the unreal for the real, you say, if I had done so and so last week, last month, or last year, it would have been better for me today. Or, I know what's best to be done, and I'll do it tomorrow. The selfish can't comprehend the vast importance and the value of the present, and fail to see it as the essential reality of which past and future are the empty reflections. It may truly be said that past and future do not exist except as negative shadows, and to live in them, that is, in the regretful and selfish contemplation of them, is to miss the reality in life. You have all power now, but not knowing this, you say, I will be perfect next year, or in so many years, or in so many lives. The dwellers in the kingdom of God, who live only in the now, say, I am perfect now, and refraining from all sin now, and ceaselessly guarding the portals of the mind, not looking to the past nor to the future, nor turning to the left or the right, they remain eternally holy and blessed. Now is the accepted time. Now is the day of salvation. Say to yourself, I will live in my ideal now. I will manifest my ideal now. I will be my ideal now. And I will not listen to anything that tempts me away from my ideal. I will only listen to the voice of my ideal. Resolving to do this and doing this, you will not depart from the highest and will always manifest the true. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road. Henceforth I ask not good fortune. I myself am good fortune. Henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms. Strong and content, I take to the open road. Stop treading every byway of dependence, every winding sideway that tempts your soul into the shadowland of past and future, and manifest your native and divine strength now. Come out into the open road. Whatever you want to be and hope to be, you may be now. Non-accomplishment resides in your perpetual procrastination, and, having the power to postpone, you also have the power to accomplish, to perpetually accomplish. Realize this truth, and you will be today and every day the ideal you dream of being. Virtue consists in fighting sin day after day, but holiness consists in leaving sin, unnoticed and ignored, to die by the wayside. And this can only be done in the living now. Don't say to your soul, "You will be purer tomorrow," but rather say, "You will be pure now." Tomorrow is too late for anything, and those of you who see your help and salvation in tomorrow will continually fail and fall today. Did you fall yesterday? Were you particularly dishonorable or degenerate yesterday? Having realized this, leave it, instantly and forever, and watch that you stay present and don't sin now. All the while you are complaining about the past, every gate of your soul remains unguarded against the entrance of sin now. You won't rise by grieving over the irreparable past, but by remedying the present. The foolish, loving the boggy side path of procrastination rather than the firm highway of present effort, says, "I will get up early tomorrow, and I will get out of debt tomorrow. I will carry out my intentions tomorrow." But the wise, realizing the momentous import of the eternal now, rise early today, keep out of debt today, carry out their intentions today, and so never depart from strength and peace and ripe accomplishment. What is done now remains. What is to be done tomorrow doesn't appear. It's wisdom to leave that which has not arrived, and to attend to that which is, and to attend to it with such a commitment of soul and concentration of effort as will leave no possible loophole for regret to creep in. Your spiritual comprehension being clouded by the illusions of self, you say, "I was born on such a day so many years ago and will die at my allotted time." But you were not born, neither will you die, because how can that which is immortal, which eternally is, be subject to birth and death? Throw off your illusions, and then you will see that the birth and death of the body are the mere incidents of a journey, and not its beginning and end. Looking back to happy beginnings and forward to mournful endings, your eyes are blinded so that you can't see your own immortality. Your ears are closed so that you can't hear the ever-present harmonies of joy, and your heart is hardened so that it can't pulsate to the rhythmic sounds of peace. The universe, with all that it contains, is now. Put out your hand and receive the fruits of wisdom. Stop your greedy striving, your selfish sorrowing, your foolish regretting, and be content to live. Act now and see all things are done. Live now and see you are surrounded by abundance. Be now and know that you are perfect. Chapter 3. The Original Simplicity. Life is simple. Being is simple. The universe is simple. Complexity arises in ignorance and self-delusion. The original simplicity of Lao Tse is a term expressive of the universe as it is, and not as it appears. Looking through the woven network of your own illusions, you see endless complication and unfathomable mystery, and so lose yourself in the labyrinths of your own making. Put away egotism, and you'll see the universe in all the beauty of its pristine simplicity. Annihilate the delusion of the personal pronoun I, and you will destroy all the illusions which spring from that I. In this way, you will re-become a little child, and will revert to original simplicity. When you succeed in entirely forgetting, annihilating your personal self, you become a mirror in which the universal reality is faultlessly reflected. You are awakened, and from then on you live not in dreams, but in realities. Pythagoras saw the universe in the 10 numbers, but even this simplicity may be reduced further, and the universe ultimately can be found to be contained in the number 1, because all of the numerals and all their infinite complications are but additions of the 1. Let life cease to be lived as a fragmentary thing, and let it be lived as a perfect whole. The simplicity of the perfect will then be revealed. How will the fragment comprehend the whole? Yet how simple that the whole should comprehend the fragment. How will sin perceive holiness? Yet how plain that holiness should understand sin. You who would become the greater, abandon the lesser. In no form is the circle contained, but in the circle all forms are contained. In no color is the radiant light imprisoned, but in the radiant light all colors are embodied. Destroy all the forms of self, and you will apprehend the circle of perfection. Submerge yourself in the silent depths of your being, the varying colors of your thoughts and desires, and you will be illuminated with the white light of divine knowledge. In the perfect chord of music, the single note, though forgotten, is indispensably contained, and the drop of water becomes of supreme importance by losing itself in the ocean. Sink yourself compassionately in the heart of humanity, and you will reproduce the harmonies of heaven. Lose yourself in unlimited love towards all, and you will work enduring works, and will become one with the eternal ocean of bliss. Mankind evolves outward to the periphery of complexity, and then devolves backward to the central simplicity. When you discover that it's mathematically impossible for you to know the universe before knowing yourself, you then start on the way, the path that leads to the original simplicity. You begin to unfold from within, and as you unfold yourself, you enfold the universe. Stop speculating about God and find the all-embracing good within yourself, and then you'll see the emptiness and vanity of speculation, knowing yourself one with God. Those of you who won't give up your secret lusts, your enviousness, your anger, your opinion about this or that, cannot see nor know anything. You will remain an idiot in the school of wisdom, though you'll be considered learned in the colleges. If you want to find the key of knowledge, find yourself. Your sins are not yourself. They're not any part of yourself. They're diseases which you've come to love. Stop clinging to them, and they'll no longer cling to you. Let them fall away, and your highest will stand revealed. You will then know yourself as comprehensive vision, invincible principle, immortal life, and eternal good. The impure believe impurity to be their rightful condition, but the pure know themselves as pure beings. They also, penetrating the veils, see all others as pure beings. Purity is extremely simple and needs no argument to support it. Impurity is endlessly complex and is ever involved in defensive argument. Truth lives itself. A blameless life is the only witness of truth. We cannot see and will not accept the witness until we find it within ourselves, and having found it, we become silent before our fellows. Truth is so simple that it cannot be found in the region of argument and advertisement, and is so silent that it's only manifested in actions. So extremely simple is original simplicity that you must let go your hold of everything before you can perceive it. The great arch is strong by virtue of the hollowness underneath, and the wise become strong and invincible by emptying themselves. Meekness, patience, love, compassion, and wisdom, these are the dominant qualities of the original simplicity. Therefore, the imperfect can't understand it. Only wisdom can grasp wisdom. Therefore the fool says, "No man is wise." The imperfect say, "No one can be perfect," and they therefore remain where they are. Though they live with perfection all their lives, they won't see their perfection. Meekness they will call cowardice. Patience, love, and compassion they will see as weakness, and wisdom will appear to them as foolishness. Faultless discrimination belongs to the perfect whole and resides not in any part. Therefore, we're encouraged to refrain from judgment until we've manifested the perfect life for ourselves. Arriving at original simplicity, opacity disappears, and the universal transparency becomes apparent. You who have found the indwelling reality of your own being have found the original and universal reality. Knowing the divine heart within, all hearts are known, and the thoughts of all become yours when you've become the master of your own thoughts. Therefore, the good don't defend themselves, but mold the minds of others to their own likeness. As the problematical transcends crudity, so pure goodness transcends the problematical. All problems vanish when pure goodness is reached. Therefore, the good are called the slayers of illusions. What problem can irritate where sin isn't? O you who strivest loudly and restest not, retire into the holy silence of thine own being, and live therefrom. So will thou, finding pure goodness, rend in twain the veil of the temple of illusion, and will enter into the patience, peace, and transcendent glory of the perfect. For pure goodness and original simplicity are one. Chapter 4. The Unfailing Wisdom. You should be superior to your possessions, your body, your circumstances and surroundings, and the opinions of others, and their attitude towards you. Until you are this, you are not strong and steadfast. You should also rise superior to your own desires and opinions. And until you are this, you are not wise. Those who identify themselves with their possessions will feel that all is lost when their possessions are lost. Those who regard themselves as the outcome and the tool of circumstances will weakly fluctuate with every change in their outward condition. And those who live by the approval of others will experience great pain and unrest. To detach ourselves from every outward thing and to rest securely upon the inward virtue, this is unfailing wisdom. Having this wisdom, you'll be the same whether you're in riches or poverty. The one cannot add to your strength, nor the other rob you of your serenity. If you have washed away all inward defilement, riches can't defile you, nor can the lack of riches degrade you if you have stopped degrading the temple of your soul. To refuse to be enslaved by any outward thing or happening, regarding all such things and happenings as for your use, for your education, this is wisdom. To the wise all occurrences are good, and, having no eye for evil, they grow wiser every day. They utilize all things and, doing so, put all things under their feet. They see all their mistakes as soon as made and accept them as lessons of intrinsic value, knowing that there are no mistakes in the divine order. In this way they rapidly approach the divine perfection. They're moved by none, yet learn from all. They crave love from none, yet give love to all. To learn and not to be shaken, to love where one isn't loved, herein lies the strength which will never fail you. Those of you who say in your heart, "I will teach everyone and learn from none," will neither teach nor learn while you're in that frame of mind, but will stay in your ignorance. You will find all strength and wisdom and power and knowledge within yourself, but you will not find it in egotism. You will only find it in obedience, submission, and willingness to learn. You must obey the higher and not glorify yourself in the lower. You who stand upon egotism, rejecting unfavorable judgment, instruction, and the lessons of experience will most certainly fall. Indeed, you are already fallen. A great teacher said to his disciples, "Those who will be a lamp unto themselves, relying upon themselves only, and not relying on any external help, but holding fast to the truth as their lamp, and, seeking their salvation in the truth alone, will not look for assistance to any besides themselves. It is those among my disciples who will reach the very topmost height, but they must be willing to learn." The wise are always anxious to learn, but never anxious to teach, for they know that the true teacher is in the heart of every person, and must ultimately be found there by all. The foolish, being governed largely by vanity, are very anxious to teach, but unwilling to learn, not having found the holy teacher within, who speaks wisdom to the humbly listening soul. Be self-reliant, but let your self-reliance be saintly and not selfish. Foolishness and wisdom, weakness and strength are within you, and not in any external thing. Neither do they spring from any external cause. You can't be strong for anyone else. You can only be strong for yourself. You can't overcome anything for anyone else. You can only overcome for yourself. You may learn from anyone else, but you still must accomplish for yourself. Put away all external props and rely upon the truth within you. A philosophy won't protect you in the hour of temptation. You must possess the inward knowledge which kills temptation. A theoretical philosophy will prove a hollow shield in the moment of calamity. You must have the inward wisdom which puts an end to all grief. Goodness, which is the aim of all religions, is distinct from religions themselves. Wisdom, which is the aim of every philosophy, is distinct from all philosophies. The unfailing wisdom is found only by constant practice in pure thinking and well-doing, by harmonizing one's mind and heart to those things which are beautiful, lovable, and true. Regardless of your current condition, what is true is always with you in every moment, and you can find it only by so utilizing your present condition as to become strong and wise. The egoic urge to go after rewards and the cowardly fear of punishment, let them be put away forever, and joyfully apply yourself to the faithful performance of all of your duties, forgetting yourself and your worthless worldly pleasures, and living strong and pure and self-contained. So will you surely find the unfailing wisdom, the indestructible patience and strength. It's impossible to be in a situation that contains no duty, contains no ideal, and without recognizing this, such work will never be done rightly, will never be complete. You either give yourself completely to the task at hand, here and now, or you will never finish it. Begin from where you are, and, working, believe, live, be free. The ideal is in yourself. The hindrance and hesitation, too, is in yourself. Your condition is but the stuff you are to shape that same ideal out of. What does it matter whether conditions be of this sort or that, if the form you give it is heroic or poetic? Oh, you that pine away in the imprisonment of the actual, and cry bitterly to the gods for a kingdom wherein to rule and create, know this of a truth: the thing you seek is already within you, here and now, if only you could see. All that is beautiful and blessed is in yourself, not in your neighbor's wealth. Are you poor? You are poor indeed if you're not stronger than your poverty. Have you suffered tragedies? Well, will you cure tragedy by adding anxiety to it? Can you fix a broken vase by crying about it, or restore a lost delight by your grieving? There is no evil appearing that won't vanish if you will meet it wisely. The wise soul doesn't grieve over that which has been, is, or will be, but perpetually discovers the divine good and gains wisdom by every occurrence. Fear is the shadow of selfishness, and cannot live where loving wisdom is present. Doubt, anxiety, and worry are unsubstantial shades in the underworld of self, and will no more trouble you who will climb the serene altitudes of your soul. Grief, also, will be forever driven away by you who will comprehend the law of your own being. You who comprehend will find the supreme law of life, and you will find that it is love, that it is imperishable love. You will become one with that love, and loving all, with mind free from all hatred and foolishness, you will receive the invincible protection which love affords. Claiming nothing, you will suffer no loss. Seeking no pleasure, you'll find no grief. And employing all of your powers as instruments of service, you will always live in the highest state of blessedness and bliss. Know this. You make and unmake yourself. You stand and fall by what you are. You're a slave if you prefer to be one. You are a master if you will make yourself one. Build upon your animal desires and intellectual opinions, and you build upon the sand. But build upon virtue and holiness, and no wind or tide will shake your strong abode. So will the unfailing wisdom uphold you in every emergency, and the everlasting arms gather you to your peace. Lay up each year your harvest of well-doing, wealth that kings nor thieves can take away. When all things you callest yours, goods, pleasures, honors, fall, you in your virtue will survive them all. Chapter 5. The Might of Meekness. The mountain doesn't bend even to the fiercest storm, but it shields the fledgling and the lamb. And though we all tread upon it, yet it protects us, and bears us up upon its deathless bosom. As it is with the meek, who, though shaken and disturbed by no one, yet compassionately bend to shield the lowliest creature. And though they may be despised, they lift up all and lovingly protect them. As glorious as the mountain in its silent might, so is the divine soul in its silent meekness. Like its form, your loving comparison is expansive and sublime. Truly, your body, like the mountain's base, is fixed in the valleys and the mists, but the summit of your being is eternally bathed in cloudless glory and lives with the silences. Those who have found meekness have found divinity. Those who have realized the divine consciousness and know themselves are divine. They also know all others as divine, though they don't know it themselves, being asleep and dreaming. Meekness is a divine quality, and as such, it's all-powerful. The meek overcome by not resisting, and by allowing themselves to be defeated, they attain to the supreme conquest. The one who conquers another by force is strong. The one who conquers themselves by meekness is mighty. One who conquers another by force will themselves likewise be conquered. One who conquers themselves by meekness will never be overthrown, for the human cannot overcome the divine. The meek one is triumphant in defeat. Socrates lives the more by being put to death. In the crucified Jesus is the risen Christ revealed, and Stephen, in receiving his stoning, defies the hurting power of stones. That which is real cannot be destroyed, but only that which is unreal. When you find that within you which is real, which is constant, abiding, changeless, and eternal, you will enter into that reality and become meek. All the powers of darkness will come against you, but they'll not hurt you, and will, eventually, depart from you. The meek one is found in the time of trial. When others fall, you stand. Your patience isn't destroyed by the foolish passions of others, and when they come against you, you don't strive or cry. You know the utter powerlessness of all evil, having overcome it in yourself, and live in the changeless strength and the power of divine good. Meekness is one aspect of the operation of that changeless love, which is at the heart of all things. and is therefore an imperishable quality. Those who live in it are without fear, knowing the highest and having the lowest under their feet. The meek shine in darkness and flourish in obscurity. Meekness can't boast nor advertise itself, nor thrive on popularity. It is practiced and is seen or not seen. Being a spiritual quality, it's perceived only by the eye of spirit. Those who are not spiritually awakened can't see it, nor do they love it, being enamored of and blinded by worldly shows and appearances. Nor does history take note of the meek. Its glory is that of strife and self-bloating. The glory of peace and gentleness belongs to the meek. History chronicles the earthly, not the heavenly acts. Yet, though the meek live in obscurity, they cannot be hidden. How can light be hid? The meek continue to shine after they have withdrawn themselves from the world, and are worshipped by the world which knew them not. That the meek should be neglected, abused, or misunderstood is of no matter to the meek, and therefore not to be considered, much less resisted. They know that all such weapons are the flimsiest and most ineffectual of shadows. To those, therefore, who give the meek evil, the meek give good. They resist none, and thereby conquer all. You, who imagine you can be injured by others, and who seek to justify and defend yourself against them, do not understand meekness, do not comprehend the essence and the meaning of life. He abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me. In those who harbor such thoughts, hatred will never cease, because you can never stop hatred with hatred at any time. Hatred is only stopped with love. What do you say when your neighbor has spoken about you falsely? Well, what about it? Can a lie hurt you? That which is false, and that is the end of it. A lie is without life and without power to hurt anyone except one who is looking to be hurt by it. It doesn't mean anything to you that your neighbor should lie about you, but it will mean much to you if you should resist your neighbor and look to justify yourself, because by doing so you give life and vitality to your neighbor's lie, and you will be injured and distressed by your own hands. Take all evil out of your own heart, and then you will see the foolishness of resisting it in another. You will be trodden on. You are already trodden on if you think like that. The injury that you see as coming from another comes only from yourself. The wrong thought or word or act of another has no power to hurt you unless you galvanize it into your life by your passionate resistance, and so bring it into yourself. If anyone slanders me, that's their concern, not mine. I am responsible for my own soul, not with my neighbor's. Even if the whole world misjudges me, it's of no business of mine. But possessing my soul in purity and love, that is all my business. There will be no end to conflict until we stop justifying ourselves. Those of you who would have an end to wars, stop defending any party. Stop defending yourselves. Peace can't come from conflict, but only by stopping all conflict. The glory of Caesar resides in the resistance of his enemies. They resist and they fall. Give to Caesar that which Caesar demands, and Caesar's glory and power are gone. In this way, the meek conquer the strong, by submission. But it's not that outward show of submission, which is slavery. It's that inward and spiritual submission, which is freedom. Claiming no rights, the meek aren't troubled with self-defense and self-justification. They live in love, and therefore come under the immediate and vital protection of the great love, which is the eternal law of the universe. The meek neither claim nor seek their own, and so do all things come to them, and all the universe shields and protects them. One who says, "I have tried meekness, and it has failed," has not tried meekness. It can't be tried as an experiment. It's only arrived at by unreserved self-sacrifice. Meekness doesn't consist merely in non-resistance in action. It consists preeminently in non-resistance in thought, in refusing to entertain or to hold any selfish, condemnatory or retaliatory thoughts. Living above hatred, foolishness, and vanity, the meek, therefore, cannot take offense or have their feelings hurt. Meekness can never fail. You who search for the heavenly life, strive after meekness. Increase your patience and forbearance day by day. Stop your tongue from voicing all harsh words. Withdraw your mind from selfish arguments and refuse to worry about your wrongs and your mistakes. Living like this, you will carefully tend and cultivate the pure and delicate flower of meekness in your heart, until at last its divine sweetness and purity and beauteous perfection will be revealed to you, and you will become gentle, joyful, and strong. Don't complain that you're surrounded by irritable and selfish people, but rather rejoice that you are so favored as to have your own imperfections revealed to you, and that you are so well placed as to necessitate within you a constant struggle for self-mastery and the attainment of perfection. The more there is of harshness and selfishness around you, the greater is the need of your meekness and love. If others intend to wrong you, all the more it is needed that you should cease from all wrong and live in love. If others preach meekness, humility, and love, and do not practice those things, trouble not, nor be annoyed. But you, in the silence of your own heart and in your contact with others, practice these things, and they will preach themselves. And though you speak no declamatory word and stand before no gathered audience, you will teach the whole world. As you become meek, you will learn the deepest secrets of the universe. Nothing is hidden from those who overcome themselves. Into the cause of causes will you penetrate, and lifting, one after another, every veil of illusion, will reach at last the inmost heart of being. Thus, becoming one with life, you will know all life, and, seeing into causes and knowing realities, you will be anxious about yourself and others and the world no more, but will see that all things that are engines of the great law. Canopied with gentleness, you will bless where others curse, love where others hate, forgive where others condemn, yield where others strive, give up where others grasp, and lose where others gain. And in their strength they will be weak, and in your weakness you will be strong. Yes, you will powerfully prevail. Those who do not have unbroken gentleness do not have truth. Therefore, when heaven would save a man, it enfolds him with gentleness. Chapter 6. The Righteous. The righteous are invincible. No enemy can possibly overcome or confound them, and they need no other protection than that of their own integrity and holiness. As it's impossible for evil to overcome good, so the righteous can never be brought low by the unrighteous. Slander, envy, hatred, malice can never reach them, nor cause them any suffering, and those who try to injure the righteous only succeed ultimately in bringing shameful disgrace upon themselves. The righteous, having nothing to hide, committing no acts which require stealth, and harboring no thoughts and desires which they would not like others to know, are fearless and unashamed. Their steps are firm, their bodies upright, and their speech direct and without ambiguity. As a righteous soul, you look everyone in the face. How can you fear anyone who wrongs none? How can you be ashamed before anyone who deceives none? And, ceasing from all wrong, you can never be wronged. Ceasing from all deceit, you can never be deceived. The righteous, performing all duties with scrupulous diligence and living above unconsciousness, are invulnerable at every point. Those who have slain the inward enemies of virtue can never be brought low by any outward enemy. Neither do they need to seek any protection against them, righteousness being an all-sufficient protection. The unrighteous are vulnerable at almost every point, living in their passions, the slave of prejudices, impulses, and ill-formed opinions. They are continually suffering, as they imagine, at the hands of others. The slanders, attacks, and accusations of others cause them great suffering because they have a basis of truth in themselves, and not having the protection of righteousness, they endeavor to justify and protect themselves by resorting to retaliation and unsubstantial argument, and even to subterfuge and deceit. The partially righteous are vulnerable at all those points where they fall short of righteousness, and should the righteous one fall from righteousness and give way to one sin, one unconscious degenerating action, their invincibility is gone, for they have thereby placed themselves where attack and accusation can justly reach them and injure them, because they have first injured themselves. If you suffer or are injured through the instrumentality of others, look to yourself, and, putting aside self-pity and self-defense, you'll find in your own heart the source of all your suffering. No evil can happen to the righteous one who has cut off the source of evil in themselves. Living in the all-good and abstaining from sin or unconsciousness in thought, word, and deed, whatever happens to the righteous one is good. Neither can any person, event, or circumstance cause them suffering, because the tyranny of circumstance is utterly destroyed for those who have broken the bonds of unconscious living. The suffering, the sorrowing, the weary, and broken-hearted ever seek a sorrowless refuge, a haven of perpetual peace. Let them fly to the refuge of the righteous life. Let them come now and enter the haven of the sinless state, for sorrow cannot overtake the righteous. Suffering can't reach you if you don't waste your spiritual substance in self-seeking, and you can't be afflicted by tiredness and unrest if your heart is at peace with all. Chapter 7. Perfect Love. You, the children of light, who abide in the kingdom of heaven, see the universe and all that it contains as the manifestation of one law, the law of love. You see love as the molding, sustaining, protecting, and perfecting power immanent in all things, animate and inanimate. To you, love isn't merely only a rule of life, it's the law of life. It is life itself. Knowing this, you order your whole life in accordance with love, not regarding your own personality. By practicing obedience in this way to the highest, to divine love, you become a conscious partaker of the power of love, and so arrive at perfect freedom as a master of destiny. The universe is preserved because love is at the heart of it. Love is the only preservative power. While there is hatred in your heart, you imagine the law to be cruel. But when your heart is mellowed by compassion and love, you realize that the law is infinite kindness. So kind is the law that it protects us against our own ignorance, and we, in our puny efforts to subvert the law by attaching undue importance to our own little personality, bring upon ourselves such trains of suffering that we are at last compelled, in the depths of our afflictions, to seek for wisdom. And finding wisdom, we find love, and know that it's the law of our being, the law of the universe. Love doesn't punish. We punish ourselves by our own hatred, by striving to preserve evil which has no life of its own to preserve itself with, and by trying to subvert love, which can neither be overcome nor destroyed, being the substance of life. When you burn yourself, do you accuse the fire? Therefore, when you suffer, look for some ignorance or disobedience within yourself. Love is perfect harmony, pure bliss, and contains, therefore, no element of suffering. Entertain no thought and do no act which isn't in accordance with pure love, and suffering will never trouble you again. If you want to know love and partake of its undying bliss, you must practice it in your heart. You must become love. Those who always act from the spirit of love are never deserted, are never left in a dilemma or difficulty, because love, selfless love, is both knowledge and power. Those who've learned how to love have learned how to master every difficulty, how to transmute every failure into success, how to clothe every event and condition in garments of blessedness and beauty. The way to love is by self-mastery, and, traveling that way, you build yourself up in knowledge as you proceed. Arriving at love, you enter into full possession of body and mind by right of the divine power. Perfect love casts out fear. To know love is to know that there is no harmful power in the whole universe. Even sin or ignorance itself, which the worldly and unbelieving imagine is so unconquerable, is known as a very weak and perishable thing that shrinks away and disappears before the compelling power of good. Perfect love is perfect harmlessness, and those who have destroyed in themselves all thoughts of harm and all desire to harm receive the universal protection and know themselves to be invincible. Perfect love is perfect patience. Anger and irritability cannot dwell within it, nor come near it. It sweetens every bitter occasion with the perfume of holiness and transmutes trial into divine strength. Complaint is foreign to it. Those who love complain about nothing, but accept all things and conditions as heavenly guests. They are therefore constantly blessed and are never overcome by sorrow. Perfect love is perfect trust. Those who have destroyed the desire to grasp can never be troubled with the fear of loss. Loss and gain are alike foreign to them. Steadfastly maintaining a loving attitude of mind towards all, and pursuing a constant and loving activity in the performance of their duties, love protects them, and evermore supplies them in fullest measure with all that they need. Perfect love is perfect power. The wise, loving heart commands without exercising any authority. All things and all of us obey one who obeys the highest. You think and see you have already accomplished. You speak and see a whole world hangs upon your simple utterances. You have harmonized your thoughts with the imperishable and unconquerable forces, and for you, weakness and uncertainty are no more. Your every thought is a purpose, your every act an accomplishment. You move with the great law, not setting your puny personal will against it, and in this way you become a channel through which the divine power can flow in unimpeded and beneficent expression. You have thus become power itself. Perfect love is perfect wisdom. The one who loves all is the one who knows all. Having thoroughly learned the lessons of your own heart, you know the tasks and trials of all other hearts, and adapt yourself to them gently and without pretentiousness. Love illuminates the intellect. Without it, the intellect is blind and cold and lifeless. Love succeeds where intellect fails, sees where intellect is blind, knows where intellect is ignorant. Reason is only completed in love, and is ultimately absorbed by it. Love is the supreme reality in the universe, and as such it contains all truth. Infinite tenderness enfolds and cherishes the universe. Therefore is the wise one gentle and childlike and tender-hearted. You see that the one thing all creatures need is love, and you give it unstintingly. You know that all occasions require the adjusting power of love, and you cease from all harshness. To the eye of love all things are revealed, not as an infinity of complex effects, but in the light of eternal principles, out of which spring all causes and effects, and back into which they return. God is love. Therefore there is nothing more perfect than love. You who would find pure knowledge, find pure love. Perfect love is perfect peace. You who dwell with it have completed your pilgrimage in the underworld of sorrow. With a calm mind and a heart at rest, you have banished the shadows of grief and know the deathless life. If you want to perfect yourself in knowledge, perfect yourself in love. If you want to reach the highest, ceaselessly cultivate a loving and compassionate heart. Chapter 8. Perfect Freedom. There is no bondage in the heavenly life. There is perfect freedom. This is its great glory. This supreme freedom is gained only by obedience. Those who obey the highest cooperate with the highest, and so master every force within themselves and every condition without. You may choose the lower and neglect the higher, but the higher is never overcome by the lower. Herein lies the revelation of freedom. Choose the higher and abandon the lower. You will then establish yourself as an overcomer and will realize perfect freedom. To give the reins to inclination is the only slavery. To conquer oneself is the only freedom. The slaves to self love their chains and will not have one of them broken for fear that they would be depriving themselves of some cherished delight. They cling to their gratifications and vanities, regarding freedom from them as an empty and undesirable condition. In this way, they defeat and enslave themselves. By self-enlightenment is perfect freedom found. While you remain ignorant of yourself, of your desires, of your emotions and thoughts, and of the inward causes which mold your life and destiny, having neither control nor understanding of yourself, you will remain in bondage to passion, sorrow, suffering, and fluctuating fortune. The land of perfect freedom lies through the gate of knowledge. All outward oppression is but the shadow and effect of the real oppression within. For ages the oppressed have cried for freedom, and 1,000 man-made statutes have failed to give it to them. They can give it only to themselves. They'll find it only in obedience to the divine statutes which are inscribed upon their hearts. Let them resort to inward freedom, and the shadow of oppression will no more darken the earth. Let them cease to oppress themselves, and no one will oppress anyone else. The oppressed legislate for an outward freedom, yet continue to make such freedom impossible to achieve by holding an inward condition of enslavement. In this way, they chase a shadow out there and ignore the substance within. You will be free when you are freed from self. All outward forms of bondage and depression will stop when you stop being the willing bond slave of passion, error, and ignorance. Freedom is to the free. While the oppressed cling to weakness, they cannot have strength. While they love darkness, they can receive no light. And so long as they prefer bondage, they can enjoy no liberty. Strength, light, and freedom are ready now, and can be had by all who love them, who aspire to them. Freedom doesn't reside in cooperative aggression, for this will always produce, reactively, cooperative defense, warfare, hatred, party conflict, and the destruction of liberty. Freedom resides in individual self-conquest. The emancipation of humanity is frustrated and withheld by the self-enslavement of the unit. You who cry to man and God for liberty, liberate yourself. The heavenly freedom is freedom from passion, from cravings, from opinions, from the tyranny of the flesh and the tyranny of the intellect. This first, and then all outward freedom as effect to cause. The freedom that begins within and extends outwardly until it embraces the whole you is a liberation so complete, all-embracing, and perfect as to leave no irritating shackle unbroken. Free your soul from all sin and ignorance, and you will walk freed and fearless in the midst of a world of fearful slaves. And, seeing you, many slaves will take heart and will join you in your glorious freedom. Those who say, My worldly duties are tedious to me. I will leave them and go into solitude where I'll be as free as the air, and think to gain freedom in that way will only find a harder slavery. The tree of freedom is rooted in duty, and if you want to pluck its sweet fruits, you must discover joy in duty. Being freed from self, you are glad-hearted, calm, and ready for all tasks. Tediousness and tiredness can't enter your heart, and your divine strength lightens every burden so that its weight isn't felt. You don't run away from duty with your chains around you. You break them and stand free. Make yourself pure. Proof yourself against weakness, temptation, and ignorance, because only in your own heart and mind will you find that perfect freedom for which the whole world sighs and seeks in vain. Chapter 9. Greatness and Goodness. Goodness, simplicity, greatness. These three are one, and this trinity of perfection cannot be separated. All greatness springs from goodness, and all goodness is profoundly simple. Without goodness, there is no greatness. Some pass through the world as destructive forces, like the tornado or the avalanche, but they are not great. They are to greatness as the avalanche is to the mountain. The work of greatness is enduring and preservative, and not violent and destructive. The greatest souls are the most gentle. Greatness is never obtrusive. It works in silence, seeking no recognition. This is why it's not easily perceived and recognized. Like the mountain, it towers up in its vastness, so that those in its immediate vicinity who receive its shelter and shade do not see it. Its sublime grandeur is only beheld as they move away from it. The great ones are not seen by their contemporaries. The majesty of their forms are only outlined by their recession in time. This is the awe and enchantment of distance. We occupy ourselves with the small things, our houses, trees, lands. Few contemplate the mountain at whose base they live, and fewer still attempt to explore it. But, in the distance, these small things disappear, and then the solitary beauty of the mountain is perceived. Popularity, noisy obtrusiveness, and shallow show, these superficialities rapidly disappear and leave behind no enduring mark, whereas greatness slowly emerges from obscurity and endures forever. Jewish rabbi and rabble alike saw not the divine beauty of Jesus. They only saw an unlettered carpenter. All true genius is impersonal. It belongs not to the one through whom it's manifested. It belongs to all. It's a diffusion of pure truth, the light of heaven descending on all mankind. Every work of genius, in whatever department of art, is a symbolic manifestation of selfless truth. It's universal and finds a response in every heart in every age and race. Anything short of this is not genius, is not greatness. That work which defends a religion dies. It is only authentic religion, authentic knowledge, that lives. Theories about immortality fade away. Immortal man endures. Commentaries upon truth come to the dust. Truth alone remains. That only is true in art which represents the true, and that only is great in life which is universally and eternally true. And the true is the good is the true. Every immortal work springs from the eternal goodness in the human heart, and it is clothed with the sweet and unaffected simplicity of goodness. The greatest art is, like nature, artless. It knows no trick, no pose, no studied effort. The critics, not understanding the wise simplicity of greatness, always condemn the loftiest work. They can't discriminate between the childish and the childlike. The true, the beautiful, the great is always childlike, and is perennially fresh and young. The great are always the good. They are always simple. They draw from, actually live in, the inexhaustible fountain of divine goodness within. They inhabit the heavenly places, commune with the vanished great ones, live with the invisible. They are inspired and breathe the airs of heaven. You who would be great, learn to be good. You will therefore become great by not seeking greatness. Aiming at greatness, you will arrive at nothingness. Aiming at nothingness, you will arrive at greatness. The desire to be great is an indication of littleness, of personal vanity and obtrusiveness. The willingness to disappear from gaze, the utter absence of self-aggrandizement, is the witness of greatness. Littleness seeks and loves authority. Greatness is never authoritative, and it thereby becomes the authority to which the after ages appeal. Those who seek lose. Those who are willing to lose win all men and women. Be your simple self, your better self, your selfless self, and see, you are great. Those who selfishly seek authority will succeed only in becoming a trembling apologist, courting protection behind the back of acknowledged greatness. You who will become the servant of all men, desiring no personal authority, will be called great. Abide in the simple and noble regions of your life. Obey your heart, and you will reproduce the foreworld again. Forget your own little self, and fall back upon the universal self, and you will reproduce in living and enduring forms 1,000 beautiful experiences. You will find within yourself that simple goodness, which is greatness. It is as easy to be great as to be small, says Emerson, and he utters a profound truth. Forgetfulness of self is the whole of greatness, as it is the whole of goodness and happiness. In a fleeting moment of self-forgetfulness, the smallest soul becomes great. Extend that moment indefinitely, and there is a great soul, a great life. Cast away your personality, your petty cravings, vanities, and ambitions as a worthless garment, and live in the loving, compassionate, selfless regions of your soul, and you are no longer small. You are great. Claiming personal authority, you descend into littleness. Practicing goodness, you ascend into greatness. The presumptuousness of the small may, for a time, obscure the humility of the great, but it is eventually swallowed up by it, as the noisy river is lost in the calm ocean. The vulgarity of ignorance and the pride of learning must disappear. Their worthlessness is equal. They have no part in the soul of goodness. If you would do, you must be. You will not mistake information for knowledge. You must know yourself as pure knowledge. You will not confuse learning with wisdom. You must apprehend yourself as undefiled wisdom. Would you write a living book? You must first live. You will draw around you the mystic garment of a manifold experience, and will learn, in enjoyment and suffering, gladness and sorrow, conquest and defeat, that which no book and no teacher can teach you. You will learn of life, of your soul. You will tread the lonely road and will become. You will be. You will then write your book. It will live. It will be more than a book. Let your book first live in you, then will you live in your book. Would you carve a statue that will captivate the ages, or paint a picture that will endure? You will get to know the divine beauty within you. You will comprehend and adore the invisible beauty. You will know the principles which are the soul of form. You will perceive the matchless symmetry and faultless proportions of life, of being, of the universe. Thus, knowing the eternally true, you will carve or paint the indescribably beautiful. Would you produce an imperishable poem? You will first live your poem. You will think and act rhythmically. You will find the never-failing source of inspiration in the loving places of your heart. Then will immortal lines flow from you without effort, and as the flowers of wood and field spontaneously spring, so will beautiful thoughts grow up in your heart and, enshrined in words as molds to their beauty, will tranquilize the hearts of all. Would you compose such music as will gladden and uplift the world? You will adjust your soul to the heavenly harmonies. You will know that the universe, that life, that you are music. You will touch the chords of life. You will know that music is everywhere, that it is the heart of being. Then will you hear with your spiritual ear the deathless symphonies. Would you preach the living word? Will you sacrifice yourself and become that word? You will know one thing, that the human heart is good, is divine. You will live on one thing, love. You will love all, seeing no evil, thinking no evil, believing no evil. Then, though you speak but little, your every act will be a power, your every word a precept. By your pure thought, your selfless deed, though it appear hidden, you will preach down the ages to untold multitudes of aspiring souls. To you who choose goodness, sacrificing all, is given that which is more than and includes all. You become the possessor of the best, commune with the highest, and enter the company of the great. The greatness that is flawless, rounded and complete, is above and beyond all art. It is perfect goodness in manifestation. Therefore, the greatest souls are always teachers. Chapter 10. Heaven in the Heart. The toil of life ends when the heart is pure. When the mind is harmonized with the divine law, the wheel of drudgery grinds to a halt, and all work is transmuted into joyful activity. The pure-hearted are as the lilies of the field, which toil not, yet are fed and clothed from the abundant storehouse of the all-good. But the lily isn't lethargic, it's ceaselessly active, drawing nourishment from the earth and the air and the sun. By the divine power innate and inherent within it, it builds itself up, cell by cell, opening itself to the light, growing and expanding towards the perfect flower. As it is with those who, having yielded up self-will, have learned to cooperate with the divine will. They grow in grace, goodness and beauty, freed from anxiety and without friction and toil. And they never work in vain. There is no waste action. Every thought, act, and thing done subserves the divine purpose and adds to the sum total of the world's happiness. Heaven is in the heart. Those who look for it elsewhere will look in vain. The soul won't find heaven in any outward place until it finds it within itself, because wherever the soul goes, its thoughts and desires will go with it. And however beautiful its outward dwelling place may be, if there is unconsciousness within, there will be darkness and gloom without. For sin or ignorance always casts a dark shadow over the pathway of the soul, the shadow of sorrow. This world is beautiful, transcendently and wonderfully beautiful. Its beauties and inspiring wonders cannot be numbered. Yet, to the ignorant, sin-sodden mind, it appears as a dark and joyless place. Where passion and self are, there is hell, and there are all the pains of hell. Where holiness and love are, there is heaven, and there are all the joys of heaven. Heaven is here. It's also everywhere. It's wherever there is a pure heart. The whole universe is abounding with joy, but the sin-bound heart can neither see, hear, nor partake of it. No one is or can be arbitrarily shut out of heaven. Each shuts themselves out. Its golden gates are eternally open, but the selfish cannot find them. They mourn, but they don't see. They cry, but they don't hear. Only to those who turn their eyes to heavenly things, their ears to heavenly sounds, are the happy portals of the kingdom revealed, and they enter and are glad. All life is gladness when the heart is right, when it's attuned to the sweet chords of holy love. Life is love, love is life, and all is joy and gladness. The jarring notes of philosophy and parties, the black shadows of self, let them pass away forever. They can't enter the door of life. They form no part of love and truth. Joy, music, beauty, these belong to the true order of things. They are of the texture of the universe. Of these is the divine garment of life woven. Pure love is glad, not gloomy. It is light, has no darkness nor any shadow. Despondency, disappointment, grief, these are the reflex aspects of pleasurable excitement, self-seeking, and worldly desire. Give up the latter, and the former will forever disappear. Then there remains the perfect bliss of heaven. Abundant and unallied happiness is your true life. Perfect blessedness is your rightful portion. And when you lose your false life and you find the true, you enter into the full possession of your kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is your home, and it's here and now. It's in your own heart, and you aren't left without guides if you'll will to find them. All sorrows and sufferings are the result of self-elected isolation from the divine source, the all-good, the Father, the heart of love. Return to your home. Your peace awaits you. The heavenly hearted are without sorrow and suffering, because they're without sin, ignorance, or unconsciousness. What the worldly minded call troubles, they regard as pleasant tasks of love and wisdom. Troubles belong to hell. They do not enter heaven. This is so simple it should not appear strange. If you have a trouble, it is in your own mind and nowhere else. You make it. It's not made for you. It's not in what you're doing either. It's not in that outward thing. You are its creator, and it gets its life only from you. Look upon all your difficulties as lessons to be learned, as aids to spiritual growth, and see, they are no longer difficulties. This is one of the pathways up to heaven. To transmute everything into happiness and joy, this is supremely the work and duty of the heavenly minded. To reduce everything to wretchedness and deprivation is the process which the worldly minded unconsciously pursue. To live in love is to work in joy. Love is the magic that transforms all things into power and beauty. It brings the plenty out of poverty, power out of weakness, loveliness out of deformity, sweetness out of bitterness, light out of darkness, and produces all blissful conditions out of its own substantial but indefinable essence. One who loves can never want. The universe belongs to goodness, and it therefore belongs to the good. It can be possessed by all without stint or shrinking. For goodness and the abundance of goodness, material, mental, and spiritual abundance, is inexhaustible. Think lovingly, speak lovingly, act lovingly, and your every need will be supplied. You will not walk in desert places, and no danger will overtake you. Love sees with faultless vision, judges with true judgment, acts in wisdom. Look through the eyes of love and you will see the beautiful and true everywhere. Judge with the mind of love and you will not mistake. You will wake no wail of sorrow. Act in the spirit of love and you will strike undying harmonies upon the harp of life. Make no compromise with yourself. Don't stop until your whole being is swallowed up in love. To love all and always, this is the heaven of heavens. Let there be nothing within you that isn't very beautiful and very gentle, and then there will be nothing without you that isn't beautified and softened by the spell of your presence. All that you do, let it be done in calm wisdom, and not from desire, impulse, or opinion. This is the heavenly way of action. Purify your thought world until no stain is left, and you will ascend into heaven while living in the body. You will then see the things of the outward world clothed in all beautiful forms. Having found the divine beauty within ourselves, it springs to life in every outward thing. To the beautified soul, The world is beautiful. Undeveloped souls are merely unopened flowers. The perfect beauty lies concealed within them and will one day reveal itself to the full-orbed light of heaven. Seeing mankind in this way, we ourselves stand where there is no evil, and where the eye sees only good. Here lies the peace and patience and beauty of love. It sees no evil. You who love in this way become the protector of all men. Though in their ignorance they should hate you, you shield and love them. What gardener is so foolish as to condemn his flowers because they don't develop in a day? Learn to love, and you will see in all souls, even those called degraded, the divine beauty, and will know that it will not fail to come forth in its own season, in its own time. This is one of the heavenly visions. It is out of this that gladness comes. Sin, sorrow, suffering, these are the dark gropings of the unopened soul for light. Open the petals of your soul and let the glorious light stream in. Every sinful soul is an unresolved harmony. It will, at last, eventually, strike the perfect chord and swell the joyful melodies of heaven. Hell is the preparation for heaven, and out of the debris of its ruined hovels are built pleasant mansions wherein the perfect soul may live. Night is only a fleeting shadow which the world casts, and sorrow is but a transient shade cast by the self. Come out into the sunlight. Know this, O listener, that you are divine. You are not cut off from the divine except in your own disbelief. Rise up, O Son of God, and shake off the nightmare of the ignorance and unconsciousness of self which binds you. Accept your heritage, the kingdom of heaven. No longer drug your soul with the poisons of false beliefs. You are not a worm of the dust unless you choose to make yourself one. You are a divine, immortal, God-born being, and this you may know if you will to seek and find. No longer cling to your impure and groveling thoughts, and you will know that you are a radiant and celestial spirit, filled with all pure and lovable thoughts. Misery and sin and sorrow are not your portion here unless you accept them as such. And if you do this, they'll be your portion until you look away from them, because these things are not apart from your soul condition. They'll go wherever you go. They are only within you. Heaven, not hell, is your portion here and always. It only requires you to take that which belongs to you. You are the master, and you choose whom you will serve. You are the maker of your state, and your choice determines your condition. What you pray and ask for with your mind and heart, not just with your lips, you will receive. You are served as you serve. You are conditioned as you condition. You garner in your own. Heaven is yours. You only have to enter and take possession. And heaven means supreme happiness, perfect blessedness. It leaves nothing to be desired, nothing to be grieved over. It's complete satisfaction now and in this world. It's within you. And if you don't know this, it's because you persist in turning the back of your soul upon it. Turn around and you will see it. Come and live in the sunshine of your being. Come out of the shadows and the dark places. You are framed for happiness. You are a child of heaven. Purity, wisdom, love, plenty, joy, and peace. These are the eternal realities of the kingdom. And they're yours, but you can't possess them in sin of self. They have no part in the realm of darkness. They belong to the light which lights every human that comes into the world, the light of spotless love. They are the heritage of the Holy Christ child who will come into birth in your soul when you are ready to divest yourself of all of your impurities. They are your real self. But those whose soul has been safely delivered of the wonderful joy child do not forget the pain and anguish of the world.